You're
Peace,
live.
peace,
What's up?
peace.
What's up, guys? We getting it. We getting better and better. I think we had some situations with the computer today, but oh yeah, welcome to our spiritual podcast,
Our spiritual chemistry.
our spiritual chemistry podcast.
This is our
uh,
eighth episode.
yeah, I was drinking some coffee, so I'm a little amped up.
You don't look
This is our
amped up.
this is our eighth episode, right? Yeah, and today the relationship we're talking about what?
uh, you are amped up. Today's episode is about healthy relationships.
Yes, and this is a very important for the people who want it, like we always say. We're here to help shed light on the people who want help on navigating through this crazy life we live, this crazy planet we live on. Yeah, so we're not telling you what to do. Once again, we're just telling you guys what worked for us because people can see and feel it, and you guys are the ones that's giving us the confirmation and the motivation to keep going. So we want to thank you because we was going to do it anyway, but giving us the confirmation, it keeps the battery in our backs. So what's up, guys? Our spiritual podcast, chemistry. Our spiritual chemistry podcast. I'm
We
just
first
joking, but yeah,
just
you go
joking.
ahead and start it off. Healthy relationships.
Okay, so there's many relationships. Like, are we talking about just our relationship, a relationship with like intimate relationship, friendships? We're just talking about all relationships, right?
Well, I think just like what you being your ultimate self, everybody want to have an ultimate relationship. I mean, whoever are ready for relationships, that if you're going to get into a relationship, if you're on your fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth, 10th relationship and you keep trying, that means you want a healthy relationship, right? Right. So that's what this is for. People who want to be the ultimate selves together in a relationship. And that's what this is about.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I mean, I don't think everybody, people, well, I'm going to say we should be on, before we get to being in a relationship, we should be in a relationship with ourselves, getting to know ourselves, figuring out who we are, what we like, what we dislike. Like, I think a lot of people miss that important step because we're just looking for someone else and thinking like, oh, so when I find that someone, things will be great. Like, I'm just looking for a partner to fulfill me.
And that's where they start off wrong. Because a lot of people say that I need to find someone to make me happy.
Right.
You're starting off on the wrong foot. You have to become your ultimate self first by yourself. You have to find happiness within, and only you can do that. Nobody else can do that for you. When you say, I need to find somebody to make me happy or to make me, well, not to say make me complete, because men and women, we do make each other become whole because that's what God put us on planet Earth for. But you have to become your ultimate self by yourself. You have to become happy. You guys get together and that person's happy, you guys happy, you have your own identity already, and you have to accept each other for who they already are. You can't try and change nobody. When you guys get together in the beginning of your relationship, you put everything on the table and you iron things out from there, from day one. Don't You can't lie to yourself, you can't lie to your partner, because it's never gonna work if you're starting off your relationship with a lie. So you guys have to be honest from jump. Be yourself from jump. Don't pretend to be that what that person might want you to be. be your authentic self so you guys can know who you really are. And then within a couple months or so, you can start critiquing or just being honest at that first date, right? You can start letting everybody, I don't, oh, that's a red flag for me, or da da da. But then as time goes along, if you really feel like you guys are compatible and a lot of, you got a lot of pros, more pros than cons, right? And if you starting to feel each other, and you make a conscious effort on trying to let go of some of the ways that your partner don't like. Right, right.
That early?
Well, I mean, if it's really bothering them, you got to be upfront and honest. You can't bite your tongue.
Well, I think you used to say all the time, like, your representative.
Right. You can't. That's not cool. You know, everybody has their representative, and then that fades out after a while. Now, that representative can be, it's always, the representative is there until you think that you got this person in an uncompromisable position, and you switch like a light switch, and now that person got to get to know you all over again, and they might say, where did this come from? But you've been pretending to be this way, now I got to get to know you all over again. I don't like that. I don't like to know you. You've been lying to me. And that some people will just walk away.
So do you think everyone does that? Do you think that
No, I don't think everyone does that.
right?
I think it's people who, I can't even say what kind of people do that. It's because it's a wide spectrum on why people do what they do, depending on their traumas, their relationships. Maybe they didn't have enough experience in relationships. Maybe they still, like, everything have to be in order when
Right.
you're trying to be in a relationship. You got to have yourself all the way together first, and that person got to have themselves all the way together first. That's why you date first before you make it official.
Right. I think a lot of people, going back to get yourself together first, when they bring their representative, it's because they haven't accepted a part of them and they're hiding a part of their identity because they feel like it won't be acceptable, it won't be loved, it won't be whatever.
Right.
So that comes with, figuring out who you are and accepting and loving all parts of yourself.
And healing and forgiving yourself from all the other things that happen to you.
Right.
Because we get mad at ourselves for allowing certain people to do things to us, or the mistakes that we made, but it's never mistakes. It's all lessons.
Learning.
Even the things that people did to you, you got to learn those lessons and heal from that. And if you don't do none of that and all of the shadow work, you can't really be in a healthy relationship.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom line of all of this, of a healthy relationship. You got to heal first, man, and you got to be honest with yourself first, and then be honest with your partner. Even if you're not fully healed yet, let the person that you're dating know that. And then if you guys really feeling each other, right, you'll start healing together. But I want to go on this journey with you to heal together, right?
I think that authenticity, being honest, being open, communicating.
And the number one for men is vulnerable. And that's hard for men to do.
It's hard for women too.
I think I can't speak for how hard it is for a woman, and I'm sure because you guys go through a lot, right? But men with their masculinity and their ego, they it's hard for men to be vulnerable because they might have tried it before, and the woman that they was with looked at them like they were soft. It could have been that one time where you shed a tear in front of your girl, and a lot of women, unfortunately, they not used to that. They know, oh, this nigga soft, he crying and shit, and you like, oh shit, and then you just be like, man, fuck this, and then you harden up again, and you will never show that side again. Now she's not getting the true ultimate version. So, it's not just men, it's women that cause men to pretend to be what they're not, right? All different types of stuff. It's all different types of stuff. We can tap dance on the broad scale spectrum of whatever on why people do what they do. It's just not one reason, right? So But
I think that what we did, you was trying to get me to finish your sentence, but
no,
I
I know I cut you off a little while
don't
ago.
remember what I was going to say. But what we did was put everything out on the table. Was like, I can't deal with this. I've been through this. Um, these things are triggering to me. These are my hard, no, unacceptable, like, and when we put all that stuff out on the table and was vulnerable.
And sometimes, if y'all need to write this down when you guys are telling each other what's a hard no, what you can't accept, sometimes it's good to write it down, especially if you're at a point in your life where you're tired of jumping from relationship to relationship and you feel something special about this person and you know you did some work on yourself, that person did their work on themselves, and you need to start writing stuff down to show each other that you're making a conscious effort on not pushing that other person's button, right? And that goes a long way.
Well, because I
That could
look
be the
at
representative.
I look at triggers as treasures.
And it's true, but you have to accept that it's a trigger. Some people will be like, I'm not triggered, I'm not triggered. If you're not
Well, if you're
identifying
on a journey
of healing,
of healing, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, um, some people are comfortable in denial, right? Some people are comfortable with, like, I don't want to know the truth. Like, people that are in relationships and they're like, you know, I don't want to know what the other person's doing. Like, they're just comfortable in their deniability, or however you want to say it. So we're
is
not,
that
I don't know if it's a word.
I was about to say you be coming up with some words, deniability.
I think that um, they're not ready for a relationship, because relationships are hard work. That's number one. Like, it's not rainbows and sunshines every day. Like, yes, you're gonna have that, but just like
Every
everything
It's
else.
a choice. Everything is a choice. You
Mhm.
choose to be in a relationship.
Oh,
Just like it's people who refuse, they chose not to be in a relationship because they don't want to, they're not cut out for it, or they don't want to do the work, or some people just happy with being by themselves.
or just, yeah, the trauma where it's
Yeah,
like after you've been
hurt.
taken advantage of, hurt, you just shut yourself down. But that's, you're limiting yourself. You're
Oh
not
no,
actually
no, not
living.
really, because some people don't want to be in relationships because they like variety. Like I tell men, when you're young, to date a lot when you're young, because you're gonna learn you're gonna make one or two things, right? You're gonna be like, wow, I love women so much, I'm gonna date for the rest of my life. Or you're gonna get tired of it and you're gonna want to settle down so maybe one day you can retire and live an abundant life with a peace of
Retire.
mind, right? I mean, but you can retire being single, but old, lonely, and single with a lot of money, a lot of
Well,
people.
what happens a lot is you have the forever player that wants to run around, and then when their bones start aching and stuff, they be like, "Oh, I'm gonna need somebody to take care of me."
But it's going to be hard for you to find somebody like that because you might be 60 years old with a 5 year old.
With a
And
5-year-old? Oh, your kid. Well, you're not gonna at 60 get in a relationship with somebody that wants kids, are you?
you might be 60 years old and you just got a 5 year old kid with somebody else. And the woman you want to settle down with ain't messing with a 60-year-old dude that got a 5 year old.
The 60-year-old has a 5-year-old?
The 60-year-old man got a 5 year old kid and like 17 other kids. But
Oh.
his oldest is 40
Well,
and his
good luck.
youngest
I
is
hope you
5.
got some good kids.
We talking facts here. I mean, it's a bunch of different scenarios
There
out here.
is a lot of scenarios, but I hope you have some good children. I mean, there's somebody for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a widow. I don't know.
Well, we being silly right now.
Yeah.
All right.
So, you mentioned like having what was that? You mentioned having a identity outside of your relationship, right?
Which is very necessary.
Very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of times, unhealthy relationships can be like smothering when the other person doesn't really have the identity outside of the relationship, and they're always like, when are you getting off work, when are you coming home, what are you doing, how you doing it, right?
And that other person's on the phone with his friends or her friends saying, "Get a life already."
What?
That's what happens.
They're on the phone with their friends.
They might be in a barbershop
Oh,
and their wife is saying, "What are you doing after the barbershop? What no, you just got out of work, you went to get a haircut, don't know. What you gonna do after that? Da-da." And the guy's like hang up and be like, "Get a life already." Or women could be in here saying, "Get a life already."
Right.
So you gotta have your own life. But then again, you have to be aware of that in the beginning stages of your relationship. If you know you don't like that, don't expect that person to change if you allow them to do that from day one.
But that was
That's a red flag.
that was one of our non-negotiables, right? We
Right.
were like, we both work
Right.
hard and a lot. So it was
Mhm.
like, don't mess with my money, I won't mess with your money. Don't hound me, I won't hound you. Not
Right.
in that harsh way, but it was something that we said very early on of what we don't want in a relationship, right? We
Right.
want freedom.
And you wasn't used to that
Wasn't
because
used to it.
that ultimate freedom.
Having freedom.
Right, having
Right.
freedom. And that's why you came to the table like, I done been through this already, da da da. And I was like, oh, you don't got nothing to worry about from over here.
Yeah. Sure enough, got the job.
But not only that, the way you dress. When we first got together, I was buying you outfits and letting you go out with your friends, and they like
letting see even the
not even okay. Well, you know what it is. It came out wrong, but you correct that. What did I mean by that?
Well, other relationships can be restrictive where they're like, well, I don't want you going
but
out.
Was I restricted?
No, absolutely not.
Right. So I'm saying I was buying you nice outfits that some men would think that was too provocative. And then you would go out with your friends wearing those outfits. And what did your girl say? Who in the hell is this new nigga?
Say it like that.
That's what they said, right?
I mean, a lot of, right, because if you've been in my life for a long time,
they seen what you've been through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it was different, definitely different. And
dang, you just looked at me like when we first met.
Did I?
What?
How did I look at you? Show me so I can do it again.
I can't do that. I can't do that look. That was amazing. I felt it.
Well, I guess reminiscing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. In front of all these people.
Are you feeling vulnerable?
I'm not afraid to show my vulnerability, and that's what a lot of people are, like we said, afraid of. Mm-hmm. But when you know how masculine you are, none of that stuff matters. You know what I mean?
You're confident in yourself.
All right. When you know how masculine and confident you are, none of that matters. I don't care what nobody think about me. I know who I am. And you know who I am. That's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Well, being healthy mentally is about that balance of your masculine and feminine energies, regardless of what gender you are.
Well, I think the difference with the word we want to use in my situation is I'm a divine masculine. So when you divine masculine, it's like you're not afraid of anything. You're godly. You looking at things through a spiritual lens, and everything is so much clearer, and it's a different perspective when you're a divine masculine. So that's the difference.
I'm, I'm, I'm getting hot flash. You could keep talking.
And I think I'm just speaking from my perspective and how I see how men feel when the way how I talk, because a lot of times when I'm talking to men about the relationships that they're in, or I'm talking about giving them a way how they're supposed to handle a situation, and I'm telling them, it was like, well, my sister told me that's how I should go about it, or my mother told me that, but I didn't want to listen to them because it was coming from them, but now it's coming from you. I can. It's crazy that that you're saying that.
Mm.
And so, but that's because I'm looking at it through a divine perspective, right? Divine lens,
With that balance.
spiritual lens, right? With the balance of being able to tap into both sides and having empathy for all people, men and women, whatever race, whatever it is, we're human. But when I'm looking at it from a grandiose, broad perspective, like it comes out in a way that is conducive to both parties.
Absolutely.
And when they look at it like that, they be like, "Oh snap! I never." Because us, most men, from as a kid, when you fall and bump your head or something, you start crying. You got an older person saying, "Get up, little men don't cry." Da, da. So they're teaching us how to suppress, and all that stuff get built up inside of us, and you grow up like that. That's why a lot of people are in bad situations now, because they react on that emotional feeling, all the emotional stuff they got built up on the inside. You could end up in jail or in a bad situation for a long time. So you got to release that stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difference. And with me releasing, part of releasing for me is talking. I got like, I'm not even fully healed yet, but that's why sometimes I could talk with passion, conviction, or soft, whatever. But as long as I'm releasing, I tell people I'm releasing, and I'm not all the way there yet. And I'm still grabbing people with me that's trying to get on this, not even a spiritual journey, but just a healing journey. Right. And I'm not even fully healed yet, but I can see myself in them years ago, and I have empathy for them. Yeah. Yeah.
What happened? I think it's still on.
That never happened before.
I know. What's going on? What's going on?
Did it start over, or is it at the same time?
It looks like it's still going. Let's hope it's still going.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. So you mentioned like dressing and giving them the freedom to be themselves and have their own identity. And
but even going back to the dressing thing, is like, in relationships and growing older together in a relationship, and you get some people who say things like, "Oh, y'all still think y'all young," but most people say y'all look young. You don't look your age. You guys look good. Da da da. But for the people that say we think we young, I don't understand that. I mean, because first of all, they don't make old school clothes like when our aunties and everybody was growing up. The clothes was different nowadays. Now they make everybody, all women, old women, everybody got to wear stretch pant leggings and all that stuff.
I mean, there's some stores.
There's some stores that can have you. What is the name of that store? Like Lane? Is it Lane Bryant?
I think Lane. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
That will have people well, there's no more polyesters out. Well, all types of. You can go to a thrift store.
They have like what's the name of that store? When I think of clothes like that, I think of like K&G.
K&G, okay, yeah, but they got some dope stuff in K&G too, though.
But you still can dress
All right. It's all
however you
about your
want to.
style, your personality, your life, all that, right? But the thing is, our age, right? Like people will say, I mean, you still wearing Jordans, or you got
crop top.
a crop top. What's a crop top? It shows your belly or whatever.
Yeah,
But you
I
got a
love my
flat
crop
stomach.
top.
You got a flat stomach. You got a navel ring, right? So it's
Still,
like, are you supposed to, like, just because
I've
you're our
I've
age, you
been
supposed to just
told,
give up and
right.
just die, like a
Well,
turn
I
of rigor
think
mortis?
that
Like, I don't understand that.
everyone should be able to be themselves, right?
If you're comfortable with
I
yourself, right?
intend to be a spicy 80-year-old. Like, I know I can't see myself ever growing up.
And I'm gonna be the same way.
Right. Like
I see older men like you. You see older women that look great and they rocking, right?
I don't think it's the same like back in, like, if you look at, like, I just saw a meme with Sanford and Son,
Mm-hmm.
and they were showing like Fred Sanford was like maybe in his 50s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you remember how old he looked in Sanford and Son,
Yeah,
and
man.
the son was
Right,
like,
and we thought they was way older than that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that we look different than
Well,
the
that's
generations.
that's not
You
true,
don't think
because
so?
because
The
when I went
style.
when I
Remember when
when
we
I
was
went
in
to
high school,
yeah,
everybody looked like
older,
adults.
yeah, women was, and when I was a freshman in Harding High School, the juniors and seniors, they was coming to school with leather briefcases, with
Business suits.
pinstripe business suits on, skirts, pencil, all. I was like, that was grown for. So that was like, it just got dumbed down as the generations got.
Well, it changes.
It changed, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they was like grown folk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't imagine. So, like, for me, I have to dress up for work. So on my off days, I'm throwing on some sneakers, some leggings,
Yeah.
jeans, like whatever, or I'll dress up. Right. I want to be comfortable. And
Right.
even in my work clothes, I choose comfort, but it still doesn't mean that I have to look like
you. But you know what I think the difference is?
What?
We hip hop. Hip hop is a generation. Like, it wasn't like our people before us. It was it was just like, disco music, love ballads, rock and roll, bell bottom, platform shoes, all that. But then hip hop came, and then hip hop is a culture. So it's like, I love old school hip hop. I love some young school, new school hip hop. And it's just it's not just music. It's just it's a whole culture. It's a style. So I'm hip hop. I can't. And then speaking about my Jordans, it's like, first of all, my young bulls who I mentored in life, they be buying me the new Jordans now. I don't spend money on Jordans. Like, I got enough, but they remember me how I used to stay fresh all the time, and they'd be like, "Oh, gee, what size you wear?" They send me some sneakers, right? But I mean, Michael Jordan is 60, or he's 60, right? He's Michael Jordan, so I mean, get used to it. I mean,
right? Well, you see now more days you're starting to see more people wearing.
Well, that's because they kids is buying it for them. Everybody wearing the low top ones. Old men coming in the barbershop. Every race is rocking low top ones. Jordan is killing it, by the way.
Even like you see balls where people are wearing gowns with their Jordans.
Yeah. Older women, younger women, everybody. Yeah. And that's like a trend now. Like, you get dressed up with some sneakers on, right? And there's always the ones look like. And so, but this, I used to have this, people telling me this a couple of years ago, but now all old people is wearing Jordans. When I in the barbershop, all ethnicities, everybody is on it right now. So everybody want to be fresh. I mean, social media is everything. You know what I mean?
True.
But Jordan Mike is killing it with these sneakers, man. That's the whole thing. That was my dude growing up, but the way how he be treating people, man, I don't even know. That's a whole nother podcast, but
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I see it all the time. They always talking about Mike. But I kind of understand too. He's been famous for so long. He just don't, you know what I mean. But it is what it is.
But
But go ahead.
I think we probably have both been in a relationship where the other person is trying to change you in some way, change like um, the music you're listening to is too young, you're dressing too young, or whatever. Like, so that's important to just let that person be themselves, right? And relationships are about compromise too, but you shouldn't be trying to change anybody, change their personality, change their style, change their likes and dislikes. Like, a little compromise is okay, but like fully changing someone or
Right.
trying to, that's not a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
And the thing you were saying earlier about, I remembered what I wanted to say about talking to men in the barber shop and them saying, like, oh, my sister said that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching that doctor who did the interviews with
Nick Cannon
Nick Cannon
and
and dang,
and
blank.
Cam Newton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at the interviews, and then like when it was shared on social media, a lot of the comments were saying like, "Oh, I wish this would have been coming from a man." So I think that's important too. Like,
They said that.
mhm. I saw a lot of comments saying,
That reminds me of what the guys be telling
right.
me.
That
Mm.
reminded me of that. So it's important to know that these conversations are being had. It's just that those that conversation with that doctor is trending. Um, so
Yeah, I saw little clips, but I didn't really get too deep into it. I know she was stinging them though. Yeah, and the truth hurts. But yeah,
see, a lot of times, going back to the ego and the like, a lot the narrative has been, if you have money, then you're a catch. But she's pointing out that that's not accurate, right? Because there's plenty of people who have money and are not emotionally intelligent. They have a lot of trauma. They have toxic masculinity. And you have people that'll put up with it because, they don't have to work or whatever. But these are not characteristics that people are looking for. Like,
but we're not talking about the average person either. We're talking about athletes and entertainers.
it all is trickles down.
Uh, I, I I I I disagree with that.
What do you mean that there's levels to everything?
I I I was an athlete for a little while. I have empathy for everybody, and I know how from a man perspective, as an athlete. Look, think about this.
Well, I'm not talking about the way that they have women coming after them.
Well, not only that, but the women that they're attracted to. The women that they're attracted to are, because you hear a lot on. This is a big topic. Why do all these athletes sleep around with the same women? And the reason why, and I heard a few like Gilbert Arenas has said what I always said, like even back in the 90s when they was like, why everybody smashing with the same chick or the same women around. It's because those women are seasoned with that type of energy, with that type of person. Like, they're used to being around them. They know how to cater to them. Nowadays, it's real important because if you with a chick that's not used to being around that certain type of athlete, you go to sleep, they got you on live while you sleeping. But a seasoned woman that knows how to deal with athletes, she already used to that, right? She don't need to go on live. If you get in an argument, she ain't gonna call the cops. You go to jail. You know, they know how to stay out. They know how to play their
I
position,
know, but I
and
don't
and
see
that's
what that has to do with being a healthy partner and
well.
being.
I mean, sometimes men know what they're getting into when they got money like that. It's hard to try and decipher if this woman really loves me or not. So, but if she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, it's good for the time being, right? But shame on you if you're gonna have kids with this person. You know what I mean? And then they take you to the cleaners. Like it's a lot of athletes, they marry the wrong women, but that can happen. That happens in any like for regular Joe Smo.
But
Like
what does that have to do with
people fall in
them?
love with the wrong people. That's what I'm talking about. Men fall in love with the wrong women. Women fall in love with the wrong men. It happens. It's going to happen at every level.
Well, I wasn't talking about athletes in general. I was just saying people who have money, men or women, let's say, right? If you have money, you think like, I'm bringing this to the table, I'm a catch. And that's not true. And that's what she pointed out.
Well, she was talking to an athlete and an entertainer.
But it
And I
doesn't
was speaking
matter.
for.
And I'm saying that is on all levels.
It is on all levels. I just said that.
But you disagreed with something that I was saying, and I'm not quite, I'm a little confused as to what you were disagreeing with.
I didn't disagree. I was given.
Rewind the tape.
I was just given from an athletes and like a superstar or a awesome a guy that gives women perspective.
So, but you're saying that because they're a superstar, they're a catch, or you're saying that because that's not accurate. Just like with having money doesn't make you a catch.
Certain type of women.
Yes, people are going to be attracted to it. Like I said, there's certain people who are willing to overlook because they're getting their needs met. And everybody has different needs.
Right.
But the point being that just because you have money, or just because you have looks, or just because you have a celebrity status, or just because,
and it could be a minuscule celebrity status,
an automatic catch.
Right.
You have to be a well-rounded person.
And I'm not saying that. You know what my motto is? It's 9 billion people on this planet. It's somebody for everybody. So I'm not falling into that. I know better than that.
No, I wasn't sure what you were disagreeing with on.
Well, I just wanted, before it went there, I just wanted to speak from their perspective, because I saw the clips of the interview, and she was giving it to Cam and she was giving it to Nick.
Well, I mean, of course they're going to show the most
clickbait part of this thing. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, she made a lot of valid points.
Right.
Where saying that, like, just speaking of herself, like, she's not looking for that monetary aspect. She wants somebody that's emotionally intelligent.
And I wasn't going against that, because I tell men to look for women like that.
Right. But it goes the same for not only being wealthy. Like, a woman could think like, I'll just take care of my body and my appearance, and that's all I need to do, right? So you look really great on the outside, maybe to some, but then on the inside you're just a big old mess.
Right. So it's mind, body, and soul.
That's your looks is not going to make you an immediate catch. Just like someone having money is not going to make you an immediate catch if you want a healthy relationship.
Right. I tell, and you could look on my Instagram.
I know years how ago you feel
about that. You know what I mean?
You voice your opinion on it. So that's why
to help young men pick the right women, because nowadays,
I was just wondering what
point I was trying to make.
Yeah. What?
Well, like I said, I was just speaking from the athlete's perspective, right? But on some regular, average people type of thing, social media got people heads popping off their shoulders, men and women, right? but it's really bad for men. Like even Minister Louis Farrakhan said, the things have changed, and he never seen it like that. I'm I'm 53. I ain't never seen it like this neither. Like women, like the music. It's the coffee. My burp stink.
No.
So why you make that noise?
Mhm.
Why you make that noise like my burp stink or something? You just messed me
Remember,
up.
I'm sorry. You remember the beginning of our relationship when I used to burp and you used to get mad?
No, you used to fart and I used to get mad. What you talking about?
We didn't have to go there. I used to burp like a man,
And fart.
but I was only talking about burping.
Well, I mean, I can't remember the burp. I remember the farts though.
I think I remember us going somewhere and I burped and you was like,
Oh, it was real hard and loud, and everybody looked at us, and I walked away from you. That was, I didn't know you could burp like that. I was like, damn, you just made me forget what I was. Oh, what was I saying?
Farrakhan said
Yeah,
that
the road that things have changed. Social media and music. I think it's really social media. You know what started this shift in women really has popping off their
jobs.
shoulders? No.
Oh.
Them TV shows like Love and Basketball and Hit Love
Well,
and
no,
Hip
no,
Hop.
no. I'm gonna go back even further
Further,
than that.
what was
They
it?
guys started wifing,
Yeah, yeah.
and
The
that's
wrong woman.
and
Yeah,
that's what caused this problem.
yeah. Because for one, they was superficial and they was on some lusty. It was a lusty relationship. They didn't care about the inside. They just it made them feel good physically and
Or you want
stimulation
something nice
or
on your
nice arm
arm.
candy. The signs be there that the red flags be there, but they overlook it, thinking they can change that person into a motherly housewife.
And then I think that fueled the rest of the women to get it on their own,
Well,
right?
it's split. You got some women that get it on their own, but you got a bunch of women that know how to find these men that's willing to pay to play.
No, what I'm saying
And
is
that's what made a
when
difference.
men started choosing um, a certain type of women, and I don't want to be offensive to
No, you're not
anybody.
being offensive. There
Well,
are different
when men started choosing to
pay.
be in a relationship outwardly with a certain type of woman, that this wasn't happening prior to that, right?
It wasn't happening. It always happened. It's just
It
that all the
wasn't
cell
on that.
phones, cameras is everywhere now, so it's always been there.
But I think that it was acceptable, right? Because a lot of times, yeah, it's always happened, but people are like, all right, I'm gonna wipe you up. Let's move to another state.
And that don't work.
I'm not saying that it works, but I'm saying that's what was happening
Right.
more often than not before,
Right.
right? Our generation
Right.
back in the days.
Right.
But then something happened where it was just acceptable to be with, and I'm not judging anybody, but like a stripper or someone that is just out there, people started
Well,
like,
but that he made a song about I'm in love with a stripper. People can't
it
help it.
became acceptable though,
Right.
where people were
But
hiding it,
then
and then you have women who were now not uh, viable options, right? They said, "Oh, I'll just get it on my own. I don't need a man."
Right.
And then they became independent. Now it's like, okay, what do you bring into the
But see,
table?
all of everything you're talking about has been by design to
By
me.
design, absolutely.
Right.
No, I 100% agree
And they
with you.
did that. They put those plants in there, those industry plants, I call them, to throw everybody off, to stop that good old natural old school love. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to throw everybody off and say this is the new norm now, when it's not, because most people who fall for that, they end up tore up from the floor up.
That's what I was about to say. People,
Right?
a lot of people fell for it,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And then you giving women, like not giving, not that it's not deserved, but saying that women couldn't get a job and support themselves back in like our parents'
Right.
generation,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
they didn't have the option to say I'll do this on my own, right?
Well, I mean, it took a real strong prayer. It was women way back forever doing it on
Well,
their
we're
own,
talking
but the
about the
average,
masses,
right?
the
Yeah, the
majority.
majority, right?
It was harder. It was harder for you to say, especially if you have children, right? I'm going to support myself and my children
Right.
and on my own.
Hmm.
It was hard back then.
Absolutely.
Now it's not as hard. So, yes, I believe there was an intentional destruction of the family.
Absolutely.
And this new hip hop community culture,
Oh, it's really bad right
this
now. Yeah.
new
Their industry plans to keep everything discombobulated. Yeah, for real, for real. People who
well,
can't see that, a lot of I don't think that's a whole nother
I
podcast
know
though.
we're getting off on a
Yeah,
tangent, but
yeah,
just that whole there is a shift,
hmm,
and then I feel like there's another shift that's coming now,
right, absolutely,
where we'll see how that takes form, but um, I think with a lot of people, you live and you learn, right? A lot
yeah,
of people are having these kind of conversations about healing and
and understanding because they're like if you don't heal, like you can't be in a good relationship, but both of you guys have to heal, right? And
well,
that's what I tell men in the shop. Like and like I said, everything that I say it appeals to both sides. But I'm always dealing with men a lot in the shop, women occasionally, and I say the same thing to both parties, man. You got to heal. You got to heal together. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to make a conscious effort to become that together. You can't. One person can't heal, and the next person not going to work. Both of you guys got to be on the same page, like we did, right? We hung in there. We called each other out on each other's traumas, triggers, all of that stuff, and it was long, hard fought, and we still can slip up every now and then, but we're way better. I mean, way better than when we first got together. I mean, the excitement of a new relationship was, but I think what helped us, well, like it was a spiritual connection that we had, right? Because I never felt nothing like that before. So I think that's what held us together during the rocky times, right?
the foundation.
Yeah, the foundation started off real strong. We planted some good, uh, what is it, rules, some good structure in each other's
Boundaries.
boundaries, good structure in one another's head, and we both agreed to it. Like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. And then once we got to that turbulence stage of our relationship, we had to fight through because even at the worst point of us beefing, it still was better than any other relationship I ever had. So, like, I'm like, remember I used to look at you and be like, "That's all you got? All the shit I've been through that you can't do, you can't come harder than that." So it was easy. So we was battle tested already, and for both of us to go through what we been through, and it really didn't change the true essence. We had triggers and traumas, but it didn't really change us into that demonic entity that we was dealing with a lot, right? And so I think that was amazing that we didn't allow it to turn us into monsters, and we still had a lot of charm and character and a lot of love and passion, and it was just. And but most importantly, we tapped into our spiritual self, man, and that's we weathered the storm, man. You know what I mean? Dope, dope. But yeah. What else?
Well, I don't know.
This is bad. You're supposed
It's
to
not
flow into
bad.
this, man.
Um, we were talking about our relationship, and I started kind of thinking back to our journey, and um, thank you. Thinking back on our journey, so I kind of got distracted from what we were talking about because I really just started thinking like sometimes when I look at my own personal healing journey, I get choked up because
You know how far you came. Yeah, me
like
too.
really the impact and having just having that emotional regulation. Like I was a hot mess, and just being able to regulate my emotions and having emotional intelligence on knowing like what other people think, do, their actions. It has nothing to do with me personally, not taking things personally, having empathy for people, knowing
But you
that,
still got to have boundaries. When you
oh,
say empathy, it's like,
absolutely. No, I just mean in not taking things personally. Like if someone says something
right.
to me,
No, it's not you. It's
right,
coming from a hurt place from them.
that's
Because you
their,
know who you are.
right,
Yeah.
that's their reality, that's their version
Trauma,
of what life is or
whatever.
whatever.
Right.
Or like,
Whatever space they're in.
right, if everybody looks at me and will have a different opinion, like everybody's gonna have their own.
And it don't matter what people think
None of
about
that
you.
matters.
Nobody, right? But we're missing one key component that really helped us, and that's us going into solitude to find clarity. Like the vacations, the locking ourselves up in the room when all the kids was in the house, talking it through, meditating together, praying together, and really looking each other eyes. Like, we came too far right now. You know what I mean?
Right. You do have to prioritize your relationship. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with the um, the dynamic when you put children in and saying the prioritizing the relationship with, having children, having work, having life is chaotic, but
Right.
you still have to put the work in if you want something to work. So, not only prioritizing the relationship and prioritizing our time alone, our
Right.
time to get on the same page when
Right.
you're raising children together, whether they're yours
Right. And
or not.
right. And I was gonna say that because
Like the the adults, the parents are supposed to be a cohesive unit. Like as soon as the children find one little crack or one little flaw,
they're gonna manipulate the hell
they're
out of that.
gonna,
And even though we didn't have kids together, and they had other fathers and other moms, and you know they are a part of that other person as well.
mhm.
So if that person don't have good intentions, you know what I'm saying?
Or
And
even,
but if the kids can see, because kids can be selfish, they can feel like I'm losing my dad, I'm losing my mom. Let me do something about this shit. You know what I mean? But we have to be aware of that, and we got to feel that. You know what I mean? But you got parents that have a whole family together, no ex-husbands, no ex-wives, and if the parents are on the same disciplinary page when it comes to the kids is always going to go to the most lenient parent, right? And so that's a terrible feeling when you trying to raise your kid a certain. Y'all got to be on the same page with raising these kids. And if not, like I said, they're gonna go to the lenient parent. Now that causes a strain in your relationship because who's ever the disciplinarian in the family, they getting overlooked because the kid is going behind your back to the parent that's gonna let the kid slide with some shit. I seen a lot of relationships and divorce like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so now imagine if your kid is living in our house, but somebody else is controlling their mind, and you can't be the parent. You can't teach them how to be self sufficient and do what they supposed to do when you know they're in the house and you got this blueprint for free, but you want to listen to somebody else who
Well,
is
even if the same rules apply, right? So you have a relationship with two parents and their child or children, right?
mm-hmm.
If one isn't, they're going to go to the one that's more lenient, right?
But if
Now,
you
when
do,
you have a blended family
right,
where they can manipulate, even it don't matter
from a
which
lot of
one,
different
they have
perspectives,
more angles
they
to
got more angles
manipulate.
because you could have been raising your kids differently than I've been raising my kids, and they could say, "Well, look, you know, this he's
Well,
letting da."
there's a
Or
million
it's a
ways to
million
look
different
at
ways
it.
to manipulate, right?
But what I'm talking about is, let's say the parents aren't together, right?
The kids' parents,
Right.
yeah.
And even if they have, they're trying to co-parent and have a good co-parenting relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the child could still plant seeds
And each
of,
other's heads to
yeah, like be
divide.
in this one ear and say,
Yeah,
oh, daddy said this, and then being
that's
mommy
crazy.
said
I had
this.
a conversation about that in the shop today.
Because that's like, it's like when we talk about nature and human nature.
Kids pick it up quick, don't they?
Well, from a
Especially
baby,
little women, girls. Y'all sharp.
I say,
Y'all
like,
sharp. It's a
from a baby coming in, all the baby knows is, I have to survive, right? How do you survive? I need food. I need, like,
or I'm
emotional
selfish. I want all
connection.
the attention. I want all the attention. I'm selfish. I
I
want it
don't
all.
think, I don't know about that.
Some kids are like that.
Well, I'm talking about a infant. The infant just knows, I need to survive. I need food, nourishment, and some degree of love or
Right,
attention,
and they're
right?
gonna
They're
remember
going to
that.
cry to
Yeah,
get that, right? This is how they communicate. And then they start to pick up, okay, when I cry, I get my needs
that's
met.
what I'm saying.
So it comes in hardwired, like
Right.
that whole nature.
But we both raised sons and daughters, and everybody been barber forever. People raising sons and daughters. Little girls is way sharper than little boys when it comes to stuff like that. For the most part, of a strong percentage, and
I
and
think
women, and
that,
you guys have to be because you guys are the closest thing to God on planet Earth. You guys bear children. You bring life into this world.
but what did you say about them? They're what?
Way more sharper with the
Oh.
manipulating and just knowing how to get things that they little boys
But
don't.
I don't like the comparison to God and then saying manipulative, right? That's kind of,
Well, they're sharper.
I
They're
think that
stronger.
the way that a
The way they're
woman's
wired,
mind is
the
just
way their
like,
mind is
right,
wired.
right.
So, but still, they have to be all of this thing because they're just wired different. And bringing kids into this world, that's the only thing I think that makes it different. Well, but the hormones and the testosterones and all of that stuff plays a factor too. But you guys are just like, I give an analogy, right? Of you can have a long hallway, and at the end of the hallway, it's a big pile of candy at the end. All kids love candy, but they got 6 rooms on each side. That candy, 9 times, little boys gonna run straight to that candy and get that candy. 9 times out of 10, little girls, y'all start off just being intuitive and nosy. Before y'all get to that candy, y'all gonna be peeking every room before you get to that candy. By the time you get to that candy, you're gonna know everything that's in that room before you get that candy.
But might that be like
Like
a
more men
survival?
are. You
Might
hear
that
women
be a
say all the time
survival
that
thing?
men are that tunnel vision, right?
Yeah,
Women, your mind is can have the tunnel vision and all types of vision at the same motherfucker.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm cussing
But
at
now,
the same time.
but what if that's like a
And
hardwired
that's just not from our kids.
survival?
That's from me. My mother had a daycare for 30 years. I've been helping raise kids as a barber for 39 years. And our kids, and just me being an older sibling, I seen it, man.
No, it's 100% facts.
All right.
But what I'm saying is, what if that is something hardwired into little girls because we're more vulnerable or susceptible to um, being taken? Like, let's say in back in the days when we were getting attacked by wild animals and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The probably the little girl would be more vulnerable to an attack, so they might come in. And this is the first time I'm thinking that because I've heard you use that analogy before.
Yeah.
Who's to say it's not for a specific survival mechanism that we have this capability of
You
being like
guys are the closest. When I say the
multi-dimensional?
closest thing to God on planet Earth, they made songs about
No,
millions of
absolutely.
songs.
We
Heaven
have
must be like this. It must be like
we
this.
have a portal. We
Heaven,
are
you have a portal, all right. Hmm.
don't. I'm talking about you said we're the closest thing to God. Like we
It's a million songs about this. So maybe when you said you don't agree with comparing women to God or whatever, but
no, I just didn't like it in the aspect of what you were using it in, of being more manipulative than men. I don't think it's like
well, okay,
there
more
is
charming or whatever you want to say.
emotional maybe. And I'm sorry, but
You guys just have this thing about y'all
it's the
that you can
hormones.
get away with a lot.
Really?
Oh,
What do you mean? Get away with?
I mean,
So you're just saying like if you have a boy child and a girl child, you have different expectations of
everybody's
them.
harder on the boys instead of the girls,
Oh, absolutely. But for different in different ways.
and that's when y'all pick up on that shit and you use that to
Well, I
manipulate.
think that like if
Oh,
you
daddy, I wouldn't possibly do that to you. I
is
can't
that what
believe
you're
you would think I would do that, daddy.
I'm not messing with you. I understand what you're saying.
And then you'll be like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry.
The whole time.
Right.
I understand. But um right, some people use their intelligence for um you know.
Stevie Wonder made a song. You can either use that girl thinks that she's so, you know what I mean? That she could break my heart or whatever. He said, you got women that use their love to make you strong, and you got women that use their love to make you weak.
Yeah.
Those are the two different type of women out there.
Well, and I think that a lot of people are so lost in their trauma that they feel like they have to uh, do those things or manipulate to get what they want
Because
because
it's been working from day one.
right.
And a
Or
lot of
if
women
they're
teach their daughters that shit.
it's a lot of
That's how you get what you want.
it's a lot of scenarios.
When it's generational like that,
Yes.
that's why I tell men,
Unfortunately.
make sure when you get with a woman, man, study where she came from, her family, her moms, her aunties, and all that. Because if it's embedded in deep in their psyche, run, nigga, run.
Is this your gem? Because I
Yeah,
tell
yeah, that's my gem for the day.
I tell the kids, so I tell my daughters to check his relationship with his mother if you're going to be in that type of relationship. And I
Absolutely.
tell my son to check the relationship that she has with her
You're
father.
not being, you got to be more specific with that.
Well,
What kind of
what
relationship a
kind of
boy needs to have with his mother?
a loving and
Absolutely.
like
But
if there's off the rip, if you have mommy issues or daddy issues, then it's going to reflect in the relationship
absolutely.
because you haven't properly learned how to love.
Your own mom.
Like a man hasn't learned how to love a woman and respect a woman, because when you love your mother, you have reverence for
Yo,
her, you have respect for her, and that trickles down into
regardless.
how you treat women. When you love your father, you have, like, I can plainly see, like, when I did my work, when I did my shadow work, when I did my healing work, when I looked at my relationships, when I worked on um, the parenting issues, or like maybe issues that I had with my father, like my whole outlook on men changed completely, completely. So I'm going from my personal experience. And this is, again, what we always say, this is what worked for us, right? So when I had issues, um, whether valid or not, whatever, when I had issues with the relationship, it showed in the way that I felt about men, the way that my relationships played out. It showed, it played out in my life. When I looked into um, specifically my relationship with my father, why I felt the way that I did, and I healed, and
How old were you when you healed?
um,
About. You know, it don't have to be specifically.
I
When you
would
healed
say when
from,
I started working on
when you
that, I
healed
was,
with your father relationship, right?
when I really looked at the relationship, I was probably in my 30s.
Yeah.
30s.
And some people don't figure it out at all, right?
Yeah. I think that there's so much information out, which is beautiful
Yeah.
these days. Like, people are talking about therapy and healing and trauma and all that stuff. Our generation, if you talked about going to therapy,
Right.
like, what?
But let's get back to the parent thing. I always said, I tell men, your daughter is she's you're supposed to be her first love. And that's the same thing for men. You normally, your mother is your first love. But sometimes that shit can backfire if your parents don't have their stuff all the way together. But then I tell them that don't hold them to that,
Right.
because everybody deal with life situations differently.
And
So that's where the empathy kicks in at.
that's
So that's still, that
exactly,
person, your father and your mother still can be your first love, but you have to understand where they came from and what situation they was in, and you can't judge because they didn't have the cheat sheet like we got. These kids now, they grow up with the cell phone in their hand. They couldn't figure it out. You got to remember, we came from like generationals of slaves getting beat, and they coming home and beating their family to take that shit on the closest of kin to them, right? So we're not too far removed from that if you think about that.
absolutely.
So you got to have empathy for your parents when they did the best they probably could with battling all the demons that they had to go through, right? But then at the same time, if you and I, this was a pivotal moment for me and one of my clients that I was helping heal and understand, help him navigate through life with the women that he was choosing. And this goes for women too. Um, Sometimes we're attracted to the opposite sex because it's familiar on what our first love was, even if it was extremely good or extremely bad. If you find yourself with somebody that's abusive, that 9 times out of 10, your father was abusive to your mom, and you familiar with it, and you think that's what love is supposed to be like. So nowadays, I tell men, If you and your wife have a disagreement, don't do that shit in front of the kids. Go outside, go talk in the car, go do something because you're sending the wrong message to them.
Well,
And then they'll, as they getting older and they start being attracted to a mom that was abusive to their dad, or a mom that never kept a man around, or whatever, and now you're attracted to that type of woman. And so, I would be like, I said, that was around these young men for a long time, since they was 1 years old. Now they 40, 45 years old. And they're like, I was like, you know what, man, you're better than this, man. Why you keep attracting the same type of woman? I was like, one day I was like, can you answer this question? Do the women that you're dating, do they any of them remind you of your mom? And they got quiet for a minute. And he was like, oh shit. Now that I think about it, yeah. I said, since you've been with your mom, was your mom able to keep a man around? No. Oh shit. So you keep getting in these relationships with women that keep getting rid of your motherfucking ass. Because you attracted to that shit. Like, you gotta find somebody that's a complete 180, then that's different from your mom. And guess what? It worked for them. A couple of people, right? And same thing, you might have women where their father was, doing whatever, and they was attracted to men like that because they felt familiar with it. They felt comfortable with it. Even though it wasn't right, they was drawn to it because their father was their first love, regardless of what your father was doing. And that's up to you to do the shadow work to heal from all that and to forgive, but you got to forgive yourself at the same time. And that's the hard part for people to do, is to forgive yourself, talk to yourself. What you tell me? You got to go back to your child and apologize to your childhood, to yourself, so you can move on. If not, it's going to be a reoccurring situation. And at that point, you can only get mad at yourself. Can't be mad at nobody else but yourself. Go ahead.
So I think what children, regardless of age, because we all have parents, right? Mm-hmm. So the child, what we have to stop doing is putting our parents on a pedestal. Like, they're supposed to be perfect.
That's right.
They were supposed to do this and they were supposed to do that. They're human. They make mistakes.
That's the empathy.
They're dealing with the state of consciousness that they are at. They did the best that they could do out of
at that
the
particular
situation,
time,
the circumstances, and all of that.
And you only get one chance at being that parent for that kid.
And two, what I think is everything is energy, right? And vibration. So yes, you're familiar with that trauma, that whatever it is, the vibrational state that your parent was at. So in a girl, your father, because that's what is the foundation of what relationships should be. So, and then the other thing, not only the vibration, it's what needs to be healed. You're going to keep attracting what needs to be healed. So more than likely, if your father had an issue with his mother, you're going to get into relationships with men or attract men who also have issues with their mother because of the vibrational resonance, and because it's when there's something that you need to heal, it's going to keep coming around and coming around and coming around, like echoes. I call them echoes. Like, you're going to keep having different things show up in your life to point out, hey, like, this needs to be addressed. Hey. And then the other thing is, in healing your relationship, a parental relationship or any relationship, is to change your perspective from being the victim to the empathy and turning that on yourself. Because, like, when you're in that victim mode, you're always like, you did this and you did this, or, he didn't do this or she didn't do this. Like, my parents weren't there. Da, 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 they did this, they did this, they did this. Instead of, like, what is this? What can I learn from this? Because you're only responsible for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And you can't do the work on yourself when you're busy
Blaming
saying this
everybody
person
else.
did this and I got abandoned here and this happened to me and this happened, that person did this and that person did this. So you have to turn that and look within yourself and really work on yourself.
It's all about
And
you. Born alone, die alone.
that's it. So that was what it was for me. Like, I had this victim mindset of, like, this happened to me, you know. Um,
That I like that. You can't play the victim role unless you never gonna get your shit together.
right. So healing my relationship with my father really didn't have much to do with my father. It had everything to do with me. Like, I had an expectation, which is why I dislike um, Disney, cartoons, all that bull crap, because they give you an unrealistic expectation of
Yeah.
what a relationship is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Prince Charming is supposed to save me.
Right.
Like, that's setting you up for failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we already did our gems, and then we went
Well,
out.
I got some more gems because
Okay.
this is serious. But you want to drop a gem or you want to keep? Did you finish saying what you
I
had to
I
say?
I think I dropped my gem. I mean, I can piggyback off of if you
I
say
just lost my
something.
train of thought. I'm so pissed.
I'm sorry. I could keep talking.
Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, so I think that it's really important to look at the people that you're dating, the families, like you said, what are the line, right? Because the other thing that repeats is generational trauma and generational curses. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like to use that word too much, but it seems like that, right? There's patterns that just repeat and repeat, repeat in ancestral lines, because it's like that echo that I talked about. Like, somebody look at this and do something about this. Like, somebody be the change. Somebody break the cycle.
And that's really hard too because like we said earlier, how you got some parents that want to keep that in the bloodline and they beat their kids in the head from young on how to get men or how to get women and all that. And it's hard to break that, man. That's so hard, bro.
So
Damn.
you have to basically want the healing more than anything, because sometimes that means being the black sheep of the family and just
Hmm.
disassociating from the family to be the one that
You got to really want it.
break
A
that.
super conscious effort wanting to change that.
I would
And those are the people who are like you said become the black sheep of the family because they ended up being the strongest to break that. You know what I mean?
I was watching, I don't know the show. I just saw like something pop up on my for you page or whatever on
Hmm.
social media, and it was like a guy, a young man, was confronting his mother and his grandmother, maybe aunt and sister. They were all there. It was a bunch of women. He was the only man, and he was confronting his family, like specifically his mother and his grandmother, saying, like, you guys were all side chicks, like,
Damn.
and the mother and the grandmother and the sister and everybody was like, what's wrong with him? Like, the guy, he was cheating, he was lying, he was this. And it was like a generational thing of not having a solid relationship and being like a mistress generationally. And
Yeah.
then he was sitting there crying coming to the realization of what the women in his bloodline
Mhm.
was,
Yeah.
and they were all making fun of him and like, what's
Wow.
wrong with him? Like,
Damn.
you know what I mean? So you have to sometimes break away from your family and
Yeah.
say, it stops here. I'm going to have, a daughter and teach her differently.
And those are the
And
people I give mad props to, because to cipher through all that and realize what it is, that's extremely powerful. Yeah. That's dope. Extremely powerful. And those are the people I give much credit to, because sometimes when you do all that work and you get caught up in everything else in this world, and you forget about who you really are, and you will tend to not give yourself any credit, and you find yourself giving everybody else too much credit. I tell people, man, think sometimes you got to sit back and relax and realize who you really are. Like, really reflect on how far you came, all the healing you did, and you can tear up sometimes, because, and then we get a constant reminder, we get a measuring stick every day on how blessed we are not to be like that. You know what I mean? And when you and that's why I say it's good, the necessary evils are necessary, because we use them as a measuring stick.
contrast, right?
The contrast, we'd be like, wow. And then but then you can't want more for somebody else than they want for themselves. So those people are here for a reason as well, right? And that's to constantly remind us on how blessed we are to not be like that. Even, I don't care how beautiful they look, how much money they got, what's on the inside is what really matters, man. So you got so many unhappy people here with money. That's not it. Don't get caught up in just your craft and the hustle and bustle of making all this money. You guys mind, body, and soul, man. So you can have that balance, and from that balance you have harmony. That's the harmony. Yeah, see, look. And like I always say, harmony is when you have this, and now we've been battle tested. Bad things are still trying to get at us, but the harmony got us dancing through all that. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Well, you
We
don't
get
even
thrown
look
off a
at
little bit, but
you don't even look at it as bad. You kind of look at
lessons.
it's
A
like a
lesson.
weight. It's like strengthening.
Lessons. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, man, like you said last time, save yourself. Man, yo, you gotta save yourself. I don't care who it is.
That's what we could end this on. Know when to call it quits.
Yeah,
right?
know when to call it quits with your relationships, with any relationship. If it's not helping you, if it's not aligned with what you're trying to do and become, you got to save yourself regardless who it is. And that's how you be. That's part of. That's the start of you becoming your ultimate self. You got to identify that, set them boundaries, and stay strong with those boundaries. And the second best thing we could do is lead by example and inspire. If they don't want it now, if they can't see it, you got to keep those boundaries up, stay strong with it, and hopefully they'll get it one day. Everybody got their own life path and their own lessons to learn. We sharing this podcast, doing this podcast to help y'all navigate to figure it out. Like I said, you don't have to listen to us. We just telling you what worked for us. It's a million different ways to get it. It might be another time in your life, not right now, but put this podcast on save this video or something for later if you ain't ready to hear it now. And just keep your mind open to receive, keep your heart open to receive new positive energy if you want. What you got?
So in the knowing when to end it and talking about breaking generational trauma, ending a relationship, getting out of abusive relationship could be breaking.
Absolutely, and it is,
right,
because you have to.
You don't want your daughter or your son to repeat this pattern. you want it to end. So sometimes walking out away from a relationship is doing just that, breaking that generational
Yep.
repeating pattern.
Mm-hmm. Um. Yeah, this was a good one. I want to make sure we covered everything.
We could always do a part two.
We could do a part two.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give us feedback. Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we can.
Yeah, what we can talk about, right? Yeah, give us some feedback. What we can talk about. What you guys want to hear about. Um, like they say, I'm still not used to saying it. Like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share.
And comments.
And comment. Right.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Love you guys.
God bless.
Peace. You have to end this one too.